Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. There we are, one of them cold damp ones. Harvey's recovering from a stiff neck, so I'm not moving so good today. I'm not quite sure what silly things I've done to stiffen my neck, though my wife has a bunch of piano students who walk around with the plague, so maybe I caught something from one of them hacking away on her and then her hacking away on me. Coughing germs. Folks, frequently I'm asked about these China quads and frequently ignition issues. And I'm sure frequently the ignition looks just like this mess here, right? So I think I'm going to have to make 3 videos on this and go through the electrical circuitry that way, because sometimes the questions are different. So this will be the first video of the series, and stay tuned for the second 2. Once I watch this video and see the feedback, I'll realize what additional information you guys need, or if everybody basically says, nah, I don't want to see the other 2 videos, don't bother making them, I won't. So let's hope these videos help. First of all, let's take a moment here. China ATV Electronics, or electrics as my buddies like to say, basically come in 3 pieces. You have the ignition part, the part that causes the spark to make this engine run, and you have the 12 volt part. The 12 volt part has several pieces, and the ignition part only has really 2 pieces. The ignition has the run mode where everything for the CDI is satisfied, so you have spark. And if you have spark, no matter what, the engine will run. So, spark, carburetor, compression, and all the rest of it. But we're talking electronics. The only thing you need from the engine, or the engine needs to run from an electronics point of view, is spark. So, you got the run end of the circuitry, then you have the engine off end of the circuitry. Okay, a lot of times when I'm working on these things, I hack them and I use the minimal piece of wiring so that I only have the run piece of the circuitry working. I bypass all the engine stop, ignition off, turn off the spark circuitry. So that's what I do. On the 12 volt side of things, right, obviously you have the battery. You have a circuit to make the starter go round. Then there's another circuit that charges the battery, and yet a third circuit that runs the lights and accessories. A lot of time when I'm hacking and screwing around, I'm basically applying 12 volts directly to the starter and making it start, right? I'm not caring about charging the battery or any lights or accessories. That's not where I'm at. Generally speaking, when I first get one of these things, is the piece of crap going to run? Because what do I care if the lights work if it doesn't run, right? What do I care if the interlocks and all that stuff is messed up for the start circuitry if it doesn't run? The trick is to make it run. So I normally, when you look at my videos, I'm running the minimal circuitry to get it to spark and run, and I'm running the minimal circuitry to engage the starter. The hardest part of working on any of these bikes is a little section I put in the middle known as the interlocks. And the interlocks has the key switch, turning it on and off. A lot of these had a remote turn off that if your kid takes off and he's heading toward a cliff, there was a little button you could push and that would turn it off. There's also will not start in gear, right? And some of them have a little thing that if you pull it out because you fell off the bike and the thing's roped to you, that shuts it down too, so the bike doesn't keep going once you fall off it. Or if you're flinging about and you pull on the wire, it also disconnects it, which keeps you from falling off it. So there's that. Specifically, I've been asked, one of my subscribers is having trouble with the start circuitry, and he says something about sparks and stuff like that. Normally the starters on almost all these, this is only a 70cc, it's a 72, but see that little lug there? If you take your negative of your battery and apply it to the case, or your negative is normally applied directly to the case, so that's the negative of your battery, and if you put 12 volts here directly on here, your starter will go round and round and your engine will start. Okay, but you're indicating you're seeing all kinds of sparks and all that. So once again, I would disconnect the wire, this wire here, and this wire here goes to this solenoid here, which has one side of the battery on it, and when you tell the solenoid on by pushing this button, it pulls the solenoid in and it puts 12 volts here. So by disconnecting that lug, and I normally put that little alligator clamp on there so it sticks out further and it's easier for me to touch this with my battery pack. So if you put 12 volts, negative, positive across here, your starter would go around, it should start, and you shouldn't have any problems. If what you're doing is getting sparks and fire and all because you're turning your key switch on, then we can talk about not having to have your key switch turned on, and you could get it to start without it. And to do that, see that black and white wire in the center between the green and the black and red, that black and white right there? What you do is you just disconnect that. See, the black and white here is not hooked to anything. That's because with this hooked up the way it is, the none of the controls will work, right? Well, none of the controls are, well, this is here, but right, it's not hooked up. So if you disconnect the black and white, right, and you provide power directly to the starter, the thing should start up and run. You will still be attempting to charge your battery. These are the wires that come from the engine, right? And this is what the wires do, each and every one of them. Green, always going to be ground. Blue and white, that provides the pulse that goes to your CDI unit, that tells the CDI unit where the engine is from a piston point of view and when to spark. Black and red, this has an AC CDI, so this provides the AC power to the CDI unit so that when that tells it to spark, it does. And these two, right, the yellow and the white, these two provide AC power that eventually goes over to your voltage regulator, right? And out of your voltage regulator comes a red wire, frequently with a fuse on it, and a black wire, or the case is grounded, and that's how you charge your battery. It's really that simple. So, to the subscriber who's asked the question, what would I do? And just quickly, once again, I would track down my CDI unit. Sometimes they're a little bigger than that. And you see the way this black and white wire is disconnected. I would either pull it out of the block, or I would disconnect it in a way such that I could reconnect it in the future. And that would be the first thing. So now your on and offs and all that are disabled. So that's one. Two, if I wanted to really get the electricals out of this, I would probably pull these two wires, the white and the yellow, which eventually, once again, go over to your voltage regulator over here. I'd pull those. So now your AC is completely disconnected. You do need the green, you do need the black and red, and you do need the blue and white all hooked up. And then I would take the lug off my starter. I would put 12 volts across the starter. The engine will start and run, and once again, no matter what these switches are doing, the engine should run. Everybody's happy, everything's good. Now you're able to ride the bike. Why is it sparking and doing strange things? I'm not sure if this thing is staying locked, if you got strange things going on. Normally these things don't really produce enough power to cause you any trouble. So I'm thinking you might have something wrong up here. So once again, if you just leave that off, disconnect these. Don't even have a battery in it. Once you disconnect these, get the battery out of there. And then the only thing you're going to use the battery for is to turn over the starter and make it run. I have seen, there's like, I'm not going to say 1 in a million of these, but there are a couple of these out there that do have 12 volt pulse generators, right? Normally the smaller they are, they're more likely AC. Normally when you start seeing them big like that big yellow guy, they could be AC or DC. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what this one was. It was on this thing. I think it's also AC, but also as they start getting bigger like this, a lot of times you have interlocks in them so that the thing won't start if it's in gear. Some of them have interlocks on the clutch so they won't start. If the clutch is out, you have to depress it. You know, so it depends on the bike. Some of for the electric starting them up, right? So a lot of times you guys will tell me, yeah, but other than the wires you just showed me, right? And here they are all over again, right? White and yellow for the AC, black and red for the to run the stator, blue and yellow for the pulsar, ground. You also have this other set of wires. This set of wires here is normally for the if you have a dashboard on here to tell you if you're in neutral or not on a quad, if you're in reverse, or you're in first, second, or third gear, fourth gear, whatever. Normally the way these work is they provide ground by, as you shift gears, it grounds a different wire which lights up a different light, or is decoded to flash a 1 through 4 segment on a LED or liquid quartz display or something. Depends on the bike. All these bikes are different. Let's just go with the generalities. So I'm going to stop here. Hopefully I asked the question I've been asked by one of my subscribers on what's going on with this. If you guys want, I could go into more of the details on the ignition, you know, the 12 volt, the ignition to get spark, or some of the interlocks. Typically, to me, I'm an adult. I'm an old adult, so I'm not all that hung up on the interlocks. You know, I'm big and heavy enough, so if on that thing there I hit the starter and I'm standing on it and I'm gunning it, and somehow I'm in first gear and the thing decides to start, that bike isn't really strong enough to move the 200 pounds of me and throw me about. But if your 50 or 75 pound kid is doing the same thing, the bike could knock them on their butt or hurt them or something. So in my case, I'm perhaps not all that careful with interlocks, but don't think you're going to hand a young child, right? You put your 6-year-old on this thing and you disconnect all the interlocks and you let them loose, right? Not the smartest thing in the world. You can end up with a hurt child. So, folks, please use common sense with this, right? Nobody needs to get hurt. Anyway, folks, I really want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, keep all the good feedback coming in. I try to answer all the questions. Every once in a while, and it's weird, YouTube, I'll see a comment that came in a long time ago, and suddenly it pops up, and I'm like, wow, where's this been hiding? Or sometimes it puts your comments in the penalty box, and I got to go find them to be able to respond to them. So if you ask a question and I don't get back to you, please ask it again, and I'll try to get back to you. I try once again to answer everything, but I got like this life and wife and kids and house and friends and family and all this other stuff. So sometimes life gets in the way of doing exactly what I want to do at the moment. So I'm sorry if I don't get back to you quickly, or if somehow I fall behind on the comments and don't get back. Ask the question again, and I'll do my best to hopefully get it the second time. If I'm so bad I don't, answer it the second time, ask it a third time and let me know that this is the third time you're asking the question and you really do need the answer. You're not asking the question for your own amusement, and at that point hopefully I'll wake up and get back to you. Folks, I really want to thank you all once again for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks.